My name is Simon Britton for Centerline. I'll be demonstrating the pin replacement procedure for the SXZR base mount weld body assembly. So for the sake of demonstration, we've removed this weld body assembly from the tooling plate. Normally it would be inside a machine in the tooling, but for the sake of this demonstration we'll hold it in a vise using some soft aluminum non-marking jaws so we don't damage any of the components. First step is to remove the weld head from the assembly. And then we're going to pull out and inspect the pin and the cable. So we can see from this cable there's no noticeable damage, there's no kinks in the cable, the cores are still intact and in the proper position, as well as the O-ring. There's no cuts in the O-ring. So this is an example of an assembly that is still good for use. Normally after an inspection of this type you could re-lubricate the O-ring and place it back in the weld body assembly. There's no issues here, but for the sake of this demonstration we're going to replace this cable, assuming that there was issues with it. Okay, so removing the body from the vise, we're going to place the pin in the jaws and remove the cable. Again, being careful using non-marking jaws with the soft material so that we don't damage the pin. We'll remove the cable using the pin lock tool. The pin lock tool is included in the service kit. Is it available separately? So now that we have this removed, we can see all the threads are still intact. There's no damage to the pin lock, so the pin lock is reusable as well. So now with a new pin lock, you want to look for the side that has an inset on the flat. We can see here there's an inset, a slight inset. Place the cores through the face that has the inset in it, and then we want it to engage with the E-clip on the end of the cable. Now again, placing the pin back in the vise. We need to apply thread lock to the threads on the pin lock as well as the internal threads of the pin. So using Loctite 243 primerless Loctite, specially designed for this type of material, be sure to check your expiry date to make sure that your product is still good. Apply a little bit to the threads and also to the internal threads of the pin. And then once again, you can get the thread started by hand and use the lock tool. Turn the pin lock until you feel it bottom out. Get it nice and snug. And then you want to inspect the cable to make sure there's no play. It's nice and snug. And we're ready for reassembly into the weld body. So place the weld body back into the vise. So before installing the pin, be sure to re-lubricate the O-ring with the MagnaLube G grease that's included in the service kit. Introduce the cores into the hole in the bottom of the weld body. And I like to use fine needle nose pliers to help guide the cable into the assembly as close to the hole as possible. If you meet any resistance, just give it a little twist. Finally, reinstall the weld head and tighten.